Good morning, all of you. So, today in this video, we are going to study how tightly our surface is held. So, we will study about this because some factors are there which affect the friction, that how tightly our surfaces are held. So now friction occurs due to irregularities on the surfaces in contacts. Now what kind of irregularities are we talking about here? Just let us take an example here. Let us suppose you have a box and you try to move this box first on smooth surface and then on rough surface. Okay, this is the smooth surface and this is the rough surface on the right hand side. Now if you try moving in both these surfaces, the box in both these surfaces, in which surface do you find it easier to move? Obviously it is on smooth surface because the friction is less here. You do not need to apply a lot of force in order to move the box because the opposing force is less. So the box moves easily. So it becomes easier to move box on a smooth surface. Now if you look at the structure of the smooth surface and a rough surface, what do you see? We see that all surfaces have irregularities. When I say all surfaces, that means all surfaces. Now, how exactly a smooth surface and a rough surface look like? So, maybe if you closely observe on the smooth surface, one like this one on left hand side. So, this surface may be, so this is the surface where the surfaces are in contacts. Okay, so what we will do is, I'm just trying to show you how exactly this will look if you look at it very close. So you will see that this surface, the smooth surface, still have though the surface looks smooth but still have some irregularities. And when you look at the surface on the box which is in contact with the smooth surface, that box also has some irregularities like this. And these two irregularities, they kind of joined to each other, and that's how they come in contact with each other. So this is how the area of the contacts look like. So basically the irregularities of one surface join the irregularities of another surface, and that is how they come in contact. Now if you look at this rough surface, the rough surface will have more irregularities, and the box still going to have similar type of irregularities. Now in this case what happens, so how this irregularities make a difference? That's because when you have more irregularities, the chances of interlocking is decreases. These gaps, they will this will fill this gap. So these two surfaces will get interlocked. Now the more is the interlocking, the greater is the friction, because more interlocking means the two surfaces are held together more strongly, correct? So it is something like this. You have two cubes and you fit those two cubes to each other, like you would have played this kind of colored tubes. So if you have one box here and one another box like this, now if you fill these two boxes with each other, so they get interlocked. So if you want to remove them, you need to apply some force, right? So in very similar way, once these two surfaces get well interlocked, the friction increases. They are not very much free to move away from each other. So if you want to move it away, you have to apply a greater force. So this means that greater the interlocking between the two surfaces, greater would be the friction, and greater is the friction, greater is the force you need to apply in order to make the body move. Now what happens in smooth surfaces is, smooth surface, the irregularities are less. So in case of the smooth surface, irregularities are less. Whereas in case of rough surface, irregularities are more. So you have more irregularities, and when you have more irregularities, you have more interlocking. So due to this, you see that smooth surface having less friction as compared to the rough surface. Now, what do we mean when we say that friction is higher if two surfaces are pressed harder? So now let us assume that forget about the scenario of the smooth surface. So now let us assume that forget about the scenario of surface, smooth surface. So in rough surface, let us suppose that the same box, you have the same box, you have the same person, just that somebody is trying to apply force on this box from above. So there is a greater force which is being applied on the box, or can say the box is being pressed hard from the surface. So in this case, what happen is you need to apply more force from above. So basically you are applying more force from above like this. This applied force makes the interlocking even more stronger from, because it is being pressed by above surface. Okay, so the irregularities are going to attached more interlocked. Okay, they are more interlocked, so the greater friction will be there. So if the two surfaces are pressed harder, the interlocking is going to be increased, and therefore the friction will increase. And even if we are talking about the same surface, we are talking about the same object. But if those two objects are pressed harder to each other, then the friction increases. That means the friction increases, it becomes difficult to make them or that object move. So in order to make it move, you need to apply more force. So in this case, you can imagine that if you're trying to move the same box and somebody is trying to press it from above, then it becomes more difficult to move that box in this direction. So you really need to apply more force. So this is how the factors that how tightly or how loosely the surface are pressed to each other, that also determine that how much friction would the surface exert. So I hope that these two factors which affect friction is now clear to you. Just try to understand the concept. The friction is all because of interlocking of the surface. When the interlocking increases, the friction increases. Interlocking decreases, friction decreases. So now that we have reached to the concept of friction, we will talk about the different type of friction. So here we are going to talk about mainly two type of friction, that is static friction and sliding friction. So let us start with static friction. So what do you think the static friction? Static means something which is at rest, which is not moving. So that is a static. So what can be the static friction? So when an object is not moving, there is a force of friction which is still acting on that object. That is because that is why it is not moving, na? So a force of friction which is acting on an object which are not moving, as long as they are not moving, that friction is known as static friction. So it is the force of friction that act between the object in contact but not sliding with respect to each other, and this is most important. That means both the object are not sliding. When I say that no, not sliding, that the object, it is not necessary that they are at rest. They are not sliding with respect to each other. That means, so with respect to something means the entire concept of motion and rest changes. For example, when you all are sitting inside in the train, okay? So do you think that you are moving? I mean, is it you who is walking or running? No, but the train is moving. Now, since you are sitting inside in the train, but you are also moving with the train. So somebody from outside, somebody who is standing from the on the platform, for him or her, you are moving with respect to the person who is standing on the platform. But you are at rest with respect to a person who is sitting just beside you inside the train. So we cannot say that you are at rest or you are in motion, because you are rest with respect to the one object and you are in motion with respect to another object or another person. So So when we talk about static friction, this friction is that type of friction which acts between two objects when the two objects are not sliding with respect to each other. Okay, so in that case, the friction which act on the object is static friction. So we will take an example to better understand this. So let us look at this example. Here we'll see that this person is trying his best to push this heavy box. The box is quite heavy, so you need to apply a good amount of force in order to make this box move. So right now he is trying to apply force, and that is the force he is pushing with the force of F. So F is a force which is being applied by this person to make that box move. But as of now, the box doesn't move. So this means that if the box is at rest, what does that mean? That means the next force acting on this box right now is equals to 0. That means total force is 0. Now if the capital F is the force which is acting on this direction, that means something is there which is acting in opposite direction. And what is that force which always tries to oppose the motion? That force is friction. So here also there is a frictional force which opposing the force. So this force is acting in the direction opposite to that of applied force. This force is called static friction, and this static friction exists as long as the box not moving. Now what happens is, if this person keep on increasing the applied force, okay, if he increase the applied force, a time comes that the box starts moving. As you keep on increasing this value of capital F, Fs, that is static friction, also increases. But static friction is able to reach up to a certain maximum value. So a point is reached beyond F, where capital F is increases, but Fs is not increases any further. So there is a limit up to which Fs can increase. Okay. So what will happen after that? Capital F will increase, and so a point will come when once this capital F is reached. What will happen is the capital F become greater than Fs, and now when the capital F is greater, the box will start moving in this direction. So you understand what is static friction? So when you applied a force on an object, the object doesn't move. So when the object is not moving, that means there is a force of friction which is acting in the direction of applied force. So that force is called static friction. As long as the box is not moving, as soon as the box start moving, then what happens? Then the sliding friction comes, which we are going to discuss. So please remember that static friction is applicable as long as the object is at rest. Okay, and if it is rest, that means the net force is 0. So based on these, you can see that static friction is self-adjustable. What do we mean by self-adjustable? As the value of capital S increases, the value of Fs also increases. Okay, static friction increases, but it can be increased to up to a certain limit, beyond which it cannot be increased any further. So beyond that, capital F, I just write here, beyond the limit, what happens is capital F is greater than Fs and the box move. And before this means what happened? Box is at rest, F, because capital F is equals to Fs. Now as you increase F, Fs also increases up to a certain limit, by which it cannot be increased, and if F is greater than Fs, then the box move. So once the box starts moving, then you do not have the concept of static friction anymore. That is the friction which is called the sliding friction. Now let us discuss the sliding friction. Now sliding friction is the force of friction that act between object in contact and moving with respect to each other. So when the objects are sliding, then it comes the concept of sliding. The sliding friction is also known as kinetic friction. Well, now kinetic is used for anything which is in motion. Okay, so here it is in motion, that's why it is called a kinetic friction. Now let us take an example of a toy car. So let's say you have a toy car and you move with this car on the floor. So which are the two objects which are in contact? First is the toy car, second object is the floor. So let us say that toy car, say object A, we call it as A, and the floor as B. So A and B are the two objects which are in contact. Now initially the car is at rest, but when you apply some amount of force to the car, then what happens? The value of static friction also increases. It reaches its limiting value beyond which the car starts to move. When the car starts to move, what happens? Here you can see A is moving with respect to B, correct? Similarly, B is moving with respect to A. What do you mean by that? It is the same concept as the example of train. So when you are sitting inside the train, you feel that the things outside are moving. When you sit in a train, what do you feel? You feel that the platform is moving in the opposite direction, but actually the platform is not moving, but with respect to you, the platform is moving in the opposite direction. But with respect to somebody who is in the platform, you are moving in a particular direction. So that means with respect to the floor, this car is moving towards right, correct? But with respect to the car, but respect to the somebody who is inside in the car, is the B is moving in this direction with respect to the A, right? So now understand the concept of with respect. Moving with respect to something is, here we can say that these two objects, they are moving with respect to each other. So if you look at it from the, you might feel that the floor is not moving, but when we talk about in terms of with respect to each other, the floor, with respect to the car, the floor is moving, with respect to the floor, car is moving, correct? So now let us suppose that car is moving with the velocity v. Okay, now right now you don't distinguish between the speed and velocity. You will learn it in the higher classes. Let us suppose for somebody who is inside the car, you will feel that the floor is moving with the same velocity but in the opposite direction. So what would be the force of friction in this case? In this case we can say that force of friction on A with respect to B, what will be the force of friction of A with respect to B? So with respect to B, A is moving in right direction with velocity v. So force of friction will act in the opposite direction, which is this direction. So therefore the force of friction will be in this direction. It is toward left and it is called as small, it is denoted by small f. Similarly, what would be the force of friction on B with respect to A? So if you see, B is the floor is moving in left direction with respect to B. So friction will be in the right direction. So friction will be in the right direction. So this force of friction is nothing but a kinetic friction, because force of friction, they act on an object where they are moving. So if you talk about the direction of sliding friction, you will say that the sliding friction opposes relative motion. Okay. So it opposes the relative motion. So you might say that we have two forces of friction in two directions. So the net force of friction should be 0. That is absolutely incorrect, because when we are talking about the something with respect to B, then we will consider everything with respect to B. So when I say force of friction, if I just give you a scenario where a car is moving on the surface, tell me what is the direction of force of friction. So you must ask that with respect to what. So if am I supposed to tell you the force of friction with respect to A or with respect to B? So because the value of force or the direction of force of friction change depending upon the reference which we are asking. Understood? So if you are talking in terms of A or B, the direction will be different. So this is the concept of sliding friction. So please remember, the sliding friction always opposes the relative motion of the surface. So this is all about sliding friction. Now we'll discuss the difference, why the sliding friction is always smaller than static friction in the next part. Okay. So because by now we all know what is a static friction and what is sliding friction. Okay. Thank you, students.